This is Rob Tebbutt for Boxing Social in association with Betfred. Delighted, as always, to be joined by the former IBF middleweight champion of the world, Darren Barker. We are here in the Lawrence Okolie, Krzysztof Glowacki fight week bubble. How are you, Darren? Nice to see you.
Yeah, good. Another bubble, another day. Do you know what? I couldn't tell you how many bubbles I've done now. It's a lot. It's a lot. And every single time I come in, I'm like, please be negative. Please be negative. And this is the one that I really wanted to be negative, because if I was positive for this one, that would have meant I wouldn't have gone to Gibraltar. Though I've still got to do another test. But yeah. All good though. Good.
Good. Glad to hear it. You still have the same zest for these bubbles as you did right at the very start of kind of quarantine, COVID, boxing really, back in fight camp. Yeah. You never seem to lose any of your enthusiasm for the game.
Do you know what? I think Chris Lloyd diagnosed it this morning actually at breakfast. I think I do have ADHD. You know, like I'm just a bit hyper. But I do it for my own sanity as well. Like if I'm at home and there's not much going on, like I can't really sit still. That's probably why I sleep well at night. You know, it's always, I just want. I've also got that FOMO, fear of missing out. You know, like, what's going on? Oh, I might be downstairs, I might be in the games room. I just want to, and I'm always up to something. Like my family, my granddad mainly, since I've been born, he's always on a wind-up. He's just always pulling pranks. So that's where I get it from. So I'm always thinking about pranking someone. Like I was just trying to prank Eddie there, but he sort of caught me. There's not really much intelligence in my pranks. They're usually going behind someone and going, make you jump then. But yeah, I'll keep myself busy in these bubbles.
You certainly do. And it's nice because, I mean, you've obviously come from essentially straight out of your boxing career, you went straight into punditry, so you've always kind of kept the momentum, I guess, and kept like in with boxing, which obviously is massively beneficial to somebody who spent their whole life in the sport. You still absolutely love everything about the sport.
Yeah, I do. Like, I can't remember life without boxing in it, that's for sure, because it's always been in my life from a young kid. And then, I would say I'm probably well, it's a fact. I'm a bigger fan of boxing now that I'm not doing it, because talking of bubbles, you're in your own bubble. You're always switched on. I struggled to watch boxing when I was actually boxing because it would, I'd get them nerves. So now I just love it. I love it. I watch it all the time. I'm addicted to the sport of boxing. So to finish my career and get into this side of things, which I've got to thank Eddie and Frank for giving me the opportunity, because I love it. But it's kind of weird how it all happened in the first place anyway, because if I'm deadly honest, I'm not the most articulate, I'm not the smartest. Though I love boxing and though it can't be beaten, my love for the sport, I wouldn't know as much as you probably do about current scenes, rankings, fighters and blah, 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 and politics. But I think analysing and breaking down fights in the Dummy's Guide 4, in the way I would talk, I'd like to think that I'm quite good at it, because I've got such a passion for boxing. So, yeah, I love what I do. I really enjoy myself, and I'm lucky to be rubbing shoulders with so many nice people, you included, mate. There's a lot of good characters in boxing, so to come to these bubbles and be mixing with really good personalities is it's a dream come true.
Thank you very much. It's always a pleasure to sit down with you as well, Mr. Barker. Yes, I do. Just before we move on to kind of all current affairs and particularly Okolie Glowackis, I want to talk to you about your future plans in the sport, something that we've discussed on several instances, that you'd like to make a move into management or advising fighters. Just talk to us a little bit about that and what kind of has prompted that suggestion or that thought for you.
Well, do you know what? I'll start with, and every boxer will vouch for this, I am the most content fighter in the world. That's a fact. I'm so over the moon with my achievements that I'm content. But I miss the journey. I miss the buzz. I miss that plotting the next move, getting to that final goal. So I dipped my toes in the training side of things with Dave Allen. It's not for me. I've got a newfound respect for coaches because it's fucking hard. But with management, I think I'd be good at it, and you've been very kind, and you said you think I'd be good at it. And it's just about getting a handful of fighters that I can help fulfill their dreams. Get them to the right place, get them the correct fights, and help them fulfill their dreams, like I say, and get on that journey with them. I've spoken to one guy, and I don't want to drop a name in yet because I don't think it's fair to announce it yet. But I said to him, look, if we're doing this together, I'm in that ring with you. I'm not looking at this for any other reason other than to help you get to where you need to be. And I buzz off of that. I buzz off of the fact that I'm going to be going along for the ride. But not only that, I will take it extremely serious because you only get one crack at this, one crack at being in your prime anyway. And it's important that I take huge responsibility and I get this done correctly for the fighters that I do manage, and it excites me. So it's a venture that I'm looking forward to. It's hard at the minute because I've yet to have my interview. I've paid my fee and I've put in my application, but I've yet to have the interview because of current affairs. But I think that will hopefully change soon. And I'd like to think that I'd have one of my fighters out by the end of the summer.
Make a good point there about kind of contentment and being content with what you achieved in your career. Boxing, it's sometimes a positive, but sometimes it can be a negative. Doesn't really have kind of a bar of entry, so to speak, to boxing. Anybody, in theory at least, can kind of come into the sport. Whereas you, as somebody who achieved an awful lot, you have a very lucrative contract with Matchroom now doing your media work. You're a very wealthy man. You don't need to be in it for the money. So that's obviously a great starting point for somebody like you. And anybody who watches any interviews of you or watches your work can see how much you love the sport and you buzz off the sport. So that's a great place to start being a manager. You don't need to make money from fighters. You don't need to kind of go out and try and live vicariously through somebody and have them achieve what you never did because you achieved your dreams.
Yeah. And look, there's lots of very good managers out there that have never boxed, and they're good business people. They understand the sport, even though they've not done it. But I offer something that those people don't. And that's, I've been there, done it. I know the pros, the cons, the good, the bad. I know what I should be looking for in a fighter as far as fights, money, etc. So I think it's an injustice if someone like myself doesn't. Look, I'm not doing it for nothing, but I'm not doing it for the money, if that makes sense. But it would be criminal if someone like myself who's been there, done it, doesn't give back. And I think there should be more former ex-boxers looking to help young novice pros come through. And, going off subject a little, well, it's still on the subject, as far as giving back's concerned, I'm vice president down at the Repton. I should be doing more down there, and I think for the future of the sport, it's important people like myself do give back and do help the younger crop from amateurs through to novice pros, help this amazing sport, the greatest sport in the world. It's so important. So I'm glad that I'm doing my bit to help the future of boxing.
Very well said, and that brings to an end the Darren Barker management interview / advertisement section.
Tinnitus, it's ringing in my ear constantly. Anyway, go on.
Yeah, I think I think you're okay, mate. Lawrence Okolie. Yep. Now, we sat down last night and watched the very well put together Lawrence Okolie documentary ahead of his bout against Krzysztof Glowacki. You very tongue-in-cheek said, it's easy to win a world title, which of course it's not, but a real opportunity for him to put his name in the history books this weekend. Yeah,
that was brilliant, by the way. Well played, Matchroom, Scott and Jamie, for putting that together. Really, really good stuff. And it whets the appetite, doesn't it? Hearing from Glenn, Enzo, David, Tony, and Johnny, and what it meant to them to be the cruiserweight champion of the world. And I see Lawrence at the end of it, and he's buzzing, he's chomping at the bit, and he's going to have to earn it because going on to the fight itself, we will find out how good Lawrence Okolie is, because I know how good Glowackis is. He's a very good fighter. He's awkward. He's about 6 foot, but he's got a very wide stance, and that drops him down to about 5'10". And most might think that that's a huge advantage for Lawrence, but getting a little technical, punching down leaves you vulnerable. You're punching down, you've got a long way to go to get your hands back, and it's something that Glowacki does very well. He fought a guy called Vlasov, and he caught him with a lovely left hook on the back foot, whilst Vlasov was punching down, and that's something he'll look for against Okolie. Lawrence Okolie versus Camacho. Camacho done something very well. He dipped the knees, changed his levels, and he caught, I don't know if you remember the shot, he caught and he shook Okolie for a split second. So that's something that, that's Frank Smith over there. There he is. How are you, mate? How are you, mate? Peace, man. So that's something Glowacki will look for. You know, it's a lot more awkward than you think when someone really changes that levels and is on the back foot. But Lawrence has proved he's a force. He's improved since the Askin fight, where, to be honest, it was boring, and he's shown the tendencies to box to, you could call it a disciplined game plan, but I just think what he does is he tries to make life easy for himself. And when you've got that size, that weight, that power, it's quite easy to get your opponent, grab hold of him, and it really saps your opponent of any energy. But I just feel this is his time. This is his time to become world champion. He's ready. He's experienced lots of highs, lows, as far as critics writing him off and saying, you know, he's boring, this, that. But he's regrouped. He's working well with Shane. He's looking more entertaining, more explosive. And this is a great fight. Straight away, as I was talking, I just went back to when I was ringside commentating on Glowackis-Breedis. What a fight that was. Honestly, it had everything. It was unbelievable. But one thing I will say is he shook Breedis. So Okolie's got to be careful because Glowacki can whack. So it's a good fight. If I'm deadly honest, right, there's no point me lying here. I do favour Okolie, but for me, this fight is either going to be really shit or really, really good. I don't think it's going to be one of them fights. Yeah, it was all right, that was a decent fight. I think it could be bad because of the style. Stylistically, it might just not gel. Glowacki's on the back foot, and Lawrence does like to think an awful lot. Or it could be an absolute screamer of a fight, you know. So I hope it's the latter.
Going back to the technical side of things, as we'll come on to talk about, you've been doing some technical breakdowns on the Virgil Ortiz fight, but talking on the technical side of this fight, on paper at least, you look at Lawrence Okolie, big puncher with a right hand against a southpaw with a wide stance. How key is that shot potentially for Lawrence?
Yeah, perfect. I mean, you know your stuff, didn't you? You know, for a southpaw, it's throwing the left down the middle. For an orthodox fight, it's throwing the right down the middle. With the guards, it's the perfect shot. What Lawrence does really well, and I don't know even if he's aware that he does it, there's always a battle. You're always jostling him to get on the outside of the foot, because obviously the front foot are both there. So you're trying to get on the outside because it tees up that backhand shot. I'm kind of, look, I think at the majority of the fight you want to be on the outside, but it's good to change it up. Keep your opponent thinking all the time. You don't want to be predictable in boxing. And what Lawrence does is he offers his opponent to go on the outside, and what he'll do is he'll just move his back foot, and as he steps his back foot out from the inside of the stance, he'll throw a right to the body. He throws it really well. He did it against Camacho a few times. Well, it's the perfect shot against Glowacki because he's only got to angle it or change the levels ever so slightly, and he's going to hit the chin of Glowacki. So it's a lovely shot. It's a perfect shot, straight down, or like I say, as an uppercut. But he's just got to be careful when he exits. He's got to roll out because Glowacki will look for the left hand. So that's how I think it could be very, very exciting, that battle to land the backhand. So I hope that happens, and I've no doubt if Okolie is to find that shot, he can close the show.
Now, obviously it's a world title fight behind closed doors. There's not going to be any fans in attendance. You've boxed for world titles in front of sold-out arenas and raucous atmospheres. Do you think that'll work? Again? You've boxed it for world titles in front of sold-out arenas and raucous atmospheres?
And that was because Martinez was fighting. That was the only time. But yeah, thanks anyway.
Do you think that's going to work in Okolie's favour going into this fight? He seemed very, very cool all week. You can see the confidence kind of exuding from him. But do you think kind of walking out into is this still an alien environment to a lot of fighters? Do you think that will be into his favour or to his detriment?
I'm not sure. He strikes me as someone that just takes everything in his stride. Remember, he's got that amateur pedigree, so he's been to some real hostile countries and fought. I've been to these multi-nations across the world, and some of the atmospheres are very intimidating. So I don't think it will bother him. For me personally, when the bell went, you sort of go into a trance and you sort of block everything out. Anyway, it possibly may be a good thing for Glowackis, because if I go back again to the fight with Breeders, there was a lot of Polish fans in Latvia, and he did get a little bit over-eager, Glowackis, so it might make him stick to a disciplined game plan. I'm not too sure on that one, mate. I personally, I don't think it will bother Lawrence if there's a crowd or not, but it would be fantastic for him to win this fight and then his first events be in the UK with fans, and he can relish in the atmosphere then.
Final one on all things Okolie Glowackis. Do you think inactivity for Glowackis could be an issue here? Obviously, the last time we saw him box was against Breidis in that kind of weird sort of MMA fight it turned into in the end, with elbows and punches after the bell and what have you. He's not boxed since then. Admittedly, obviously, had to pull out of the original date for this through COVID. But surely at this stage of his career, that's not going to be in his favour.
No, you want to be busy. You can do all the sparring in the world, but the real timing and distance that you get is from a fight. Getting rounds in the ring with the 10-ounce gloves on. It may be. It could possibly be a downfall for him. Is your arm aching?
No, I'm good.
It's good. It must be
Got a very strong arm, Darren.
Yeah, you're right-handed, isn't you? It may be the case. If he is feeling a little bit out of range, I think he'll have to start just a little bit slower and ease into the fight. That's what I would do if he hadn't, when I fought after 40 months out against Kerry Hope, I think it was, I probably lost the first round, but I was never worried. It's like, right, let me get my iron. It might take a couple of rounds. So that's what Glowackis needs to do. But it's very hard when you find someone like Okolie to take rounds off and try and get your eye in. But there's so much on the line that I'm not too concerned about that.
Okay, moving away from one fight tomorrow night and talking about another, somebody that I know you've kept a very, very close eye on recently. We mentioned him earlier on in the interview. Vergil Ortiz Jr. in a step-up against former super lightweight champion Ortiz-Hooker on DAZN. You've watched him, you've dissected him, you've studied him. Just how good of a talent is Vergil Ortiz? Yeah,
he doesn't do much wrong, and he's very exciting with that. Hey, there they are. The Welsh Wizard and Tony Sims. They doing all right?
Who's interviewing? Not Rob.
Rob, yeah. Fellow Chelsea fan, so I let him off. He's brilliant. He does everything right, and he's so exciting. He gets stuck in, he can punch, he's quick. Something I love that he does so well is the counter right hand, which I think will be Hooker's undoing. Because Hooker, he's got that very tall frame, but he's so lazy with the jab at times. He pours it out, and he's got a bad habit of not even when he's pouring it, he'll just sort of tap out. And for someone who's so explosive with the right hand, with so much variation, I think, I'm pretty confident that will be the reason why Ortiz stops or knocks Hooker out. He's so impressive. Did you see the clip of him fighting Vargas and the noise of the shots? Fucking hell. It's going to be, in my opinion, a long, painful night for Hooker. Ortiz is just all wrong for him.
A long, painful night or a short, painful night?
It all depends how long it lasts. If it's a long fight, it's going to be a painful, long, painful night. If it's short, it's going to be short and sweet. But I do believe there's only one winner in that fight. I would kind of be shocked if Hooker was to beat him, and Hooker's a very good fighter. I will say, when Hooker, it's a very small comparison, but when he lets his hands go with that speed and spite and how relaxed he is, and with the real tent, there's shades of Thomas Ernst when he really lets his hands go. But I'm not trying, you know what I'm saying. And though it was probably a terrible thing to advise, but it may be his only chance to mix fire with fire, and that sounds crazy because I just don't think though he's got the frame, I just don't think he can keep Ortiz off. So he might be better off to bite down on the gum shield and let his shots go. But no trainer's really going to advise that. Yeah, Ortiz is fucking good.
Talking this week about, well, he believes at least, coming through Saturday night, all being well against Ortiz-Hooker, that he could fight Terence Crawford by the end of 2021. That'd be an interesting fight.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it would be. Ortiz is very good, but then training for a Terence Crawford is, you could say, near on impossible. He's fucking so unorthodox, but so good at what he does. Shots from all angles, so powerful, great ring craft, and bundles of experience that you could say would be the difference between the two. But Ortiz, honestly, I'm so impressed with him. I really am. So I'd love to see that fight.
Okay, before I let you go, let's have a little bit of a discussion on the heavyweights starting next weekend.